Przed wami Jakub Kajtman. Jakub, feel more than welcome. Wielkie brawa.
Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And well, thanks for the introduction as well. We'll set up the technology here. When I was thinking how to start this, thank you. I thought, well, it's a very difficult task now, right? Because you had 2 days full of inspirational speeches, excellent, influencers, bloggers, people who inspire you. And then at the very end, just before the lunch, there comes the guy from the European Commission to talk about EU policy. I think it's not the coolest, it doesn't sound as the coolest thing, but let's take it in the other way. I try to do it in a way that you will feel it useful, that it will be useful for you, that you will maybe see what we do from the broader picture with technology. Because I'm going to speak about digital single market, and I hope you'll find it interesting and useful, and I'm then very happy to check with you the details. Now, I will try to launch the presentation if it works. Guys, I hope you are ready with that. Okay, well, whatever. So my name is Jakub Kajtman. I work in the European Commission for 3.5 years. And just to make things clear, the European Commission is one of the 3 key institutions in the EU, right? So you have the Commission, you have the Council, and you have the Parliament. And the Commission's role is to present proposals, and then it's up to the Parliament and the Council, basically the EU member states, to agree on these proposals or disagree. And then the second role of the Commission is just to look once the rules are in place, that they are respected and everything works as it should. And now it would be really good if I could start the presentation, which you have apparently, I think, there in the sound engineering booth. And have you ever heard about digital single market? Does anyone from you know what it means, kind of, or not at all? Not at all. So it's a completely new thing. I mean, it's not only meant for bloggers. It's meant for the whole digital sphere. But I hope you'll find some stuff also in it. Now, could we start the presentation? It's there. OK, well, let's give them a few seconds to launch it. So I'm clicking on the button, and it doesn't work at all. Yeah. No, it's here. OK, excellent. So this is our headquarters in Brussels. If you have ever been there, you might have seen it. It's not so cool as the new Apple headquarters in the Silicon Valley, but it's not bad either. We have quite a good canteen, and we also have a press room where every day at 12 o'clock, and this is interesting actually, every day at 12 o'clock, a spokesperson of the Commission comes and tells people what's the daily business, what's happening today. And next to the building, next to the Berlamont, we call it Berlamont, there are also some roof terraces, and you can do cool stuff on these roof terraces. And lately, we did quite an interesting exercise. We did a Facebook Live chat on a roof terrace just in front of the Berlamont, and we've discussed a topic which is probably the first concrete thing that you can touch and feel that is part of the digital single market strategy. Now, would you have any guess what that might have been about? Something, on telecommunication and digital sphere that happened recently, and it's a first tangible thing of the digital single market. Now, okay, well, I'm going to tell you, it's the end of the roaming charges. Did you know that? Excellent. Well done, point for you. So, on the 15th of June 2017, thanks to the EU, the roaming charges in the EU ended. So it means that once you travel with your phone abroad and you want to post on Instagram, post on Facebook, check your maps, you don't pay any extra money for that. I think this is quite cool, and I remember myself, I was in Malta on the 15th of June, and I was going through the city, checking the map, checking where I need to go, and I still had this feeling behind saying, be careful, you are abroad, so you will pay much more. But actually, it was not the case. And what I would like to do now with you today is not only to tell you things, but also to listen from you. And I think let's start practically. So if we can switch now to this computer that I have here, I've prepared a poll for you, and I would like to ask you if you can, to take your phone go to menti.com, you see the website there, enter the code 344948, and please share your experience with roaming since June. So basically the question is, when was the first time you used the internet abroad without roaming charges? Okay? If you can vote, then I would like to see, you know, what is the situation in the crowd in here. I think, by the way, when you are voting, I think the roaming story is exactly what we want the digital single market to be about, because we want it to be about two things. The first one is very closely related to the topic of this conference, because it's crossing borders. Ah, thank you, great. It's crossing borders, and in our view, there are many artificial borders in the digital sphere now, and one of them was the artificial border to when you were crossing borders in the real world. And we wanted to make sure that these borders are not there anymore, so that we create one market, that you can use your phone wherever you are, and you don't pay any extra money. And this is one of the key things of digital single market. This is the rationale behind digital single market, behind many initiatives, that we want to remove borders, so that you don't have to cross the borders anymore if you are in the EU and you are using digital tools, but that you just travel and use them as you wish. Now, the second thing that we want also, and which is implied by the first, is that we want you to feel like at home. And that's why we call also our proposal Roam Like at Home. So it means that whenever you are in the EU, you always feel like at home, and you don't pay extra, and you don't have to deal with any extra obstacles. And I think with the roaming, as I said, is the first tangible thing that happened, and I think it's quite cool. And I see that many of you, okay, well, 70%, less than 70% already used that, so thank you very much. I hope you are enjoying. And for the 33%, well, good luck, and I hope you'll enjoy the Roam Like at Home in the near future. Now, if we can switch back to the presentation that I have prepared, the question also is, what is the situation now in Europe in terms of digital tools, in terms of digital technology, and in terms of online world? And we looked at that, and we saw that you know, there are many things that are going on. Everything is becoming digital. You know, transport, agriculture. You know, there are more content creators in the world, but the rules and the situation might not take the pace or keep the pace. And we, for example, look at some statistics and saw that 90% of jobs that will be in, let's say, next 2, 3, 5 years will require some sort of digital skills, but there was no activity in there to boost, to improve the digital skills. We also saw that businesses and startups can emerge because digital technologies create new business opportunities, and we also saw that other businesses can save much more money if they start to use digital technologies. And based on that, we decided to present a strategy, to present a plan. Now, in the Commission, we like to present plans and strategies, okay? We name them in a fancy names that no one understands much what is it about, but my job is now to tell you a little bit what the digital single market is about. And basically, we decided to build the digital single market around 3 main areas. Again, the names are maybe too complicated, but let's take a look at them one by one. So the first we call better access, and it's basically about creating a marketplace, an environment where you can do basically the things that you do in your home country, but you can do it abroad. So for example, e-commerce, that you can order goods from the other country and you are not prohibited by any tool or by any platform that you cannot get these goods sent to your country. This is called geo-blocking, and we hopefully will have an agreement very soon on that. There is also a part about content that we want to first make more content available across borders, and I will talk about it later. And we also want to ensure that authors of content are well remunerated. So if you upload on YouTube your video and then you want to monetize it, that there is a clear agreement between the platform and the content creator to get remuneration. So this is the first thing, better access for consumers and businesses, really to develop the new technologies and to benefit from it. Now the second thing is also very important, the right environment, we call it. And it's all about the connectivity, and it's all about the environment, so what rules apply. So what we want to do is to make sure that everyone, no matter whether this person lives in Warsaw, London, or on a Polish-Slovak border in a small village, that everyone can be part of digital economy and society, and that everyone can have reliable and good connectivity, right? Because it's also important for you, I guess. Well, if you travel and you are in a place, in a region where you cannot connect to the internet, it's very difficult for you to blog or to upload something on Instagram, and you cannot be in touch with your community. And the same the other way around. If the people who follow you on Instagram travel and they cannot check what you are doing and they want to check it, you know, it's kind of, it sucks, I would say. Another thing in this chapter is also cybersecurity, ensuring cybersecurity, and there are many other things. And now, the third pillar, which we call economy and society, there we basically cover everything else. We want to make the digital single market and digital sphere in Europe as most inclusive as we can, so that everyone really can be part and feel empowered to be part of the digital single market. And so there we focus on digital skills. And we also want to make sure that, for example, data, non-personal data, can flow easily from one country into another, and we recently presented a proposal on that. Now, before we go to some concrete examples, I prepared concrete examples because this is quite abstract, right? So that you can better understand what the digital single market is about. I thought, well, let's take a look at Poland to also put us a little bit into perspective where Poland is. Now, every year, we count an index, we call it Digital Economy and Society Index. And this index is basically gives the idea of how digital a country is, in a nutshell. We analyze around 250 indicators, from digital skills to broadband penetration, how many people use social media, thousands of things. And Poland is doing, well, not bad, but it could do better. 23rd position in the EU, so it's not bad. You are very strong, for example, in a chapter of how many people graduate from a science and technology university. So you have really many people graduating from there. You have also broad use of mobile internet in your country, in Poland. On the other hand, the fixed internet in many regions, it's still a big problem. But what I wanted to focus on is the other numbers. Almost 70% of Poles go online at least once per week. And I think this is an interesting figure for you, because you are targeting these people, right? You are blogging for them, and it's your potential audience. Now, 60% of those that go online every week are on social networks, which is not much, actually. And only 49% of them watch YouTube videos. Now, the question is, if we encourage and if we make the right conditions for people to go more online, to watch more YouTube videos, to be more on social media, if they want. We are not forcing them, but if they want, well, I think you might quite like it, because it would broaden your audience, right? So that's why I think the digital single market is also quite good for you. And I think for Poland itself, it's a good opportunity, because the way how we proceed and the way what we do in order to achieve the digital single market, so to achieve this space where everyone, every person or every business can make the best out of the digital technologies, that we use basically two tools, two ways. The first way is that we encourage cooperation, and it doesn't only mean cooperation between countries, it means cooperation between countries and businesses, between universities, researchers, influencers. Basically, we encourage cooperation in various fields in order to make it a grassroots movement. So we don't want to come and say, now you will do it like that. No, we try to create the right conditions, the right frame, but then we leave it up to the stakeholders and people interested to actually go forward. And then the second tool that we use in cases when we feel that there needs to be new rules or new frame, then we present them. And these fields are cybersecurity, data protection, copyright, online. So basically these tools, and then there we try to come up with a standard for the whole EU, so that you don't have to think too much whether if you are in Germany, whether your activity on Facebook will be protected in a different way than for example, in Poland. And now, let's take some concrete examples, and I like this one a lot because it really shows why the digital single market is important, and especially why it will be important in the upcoming years. It's about self-driving cars, and it's a major initiative that we have, and it involves many different streams and many different technologies that need to be coordinated in order to make the self-driving cars happening in Europe, and in order to see them in 5 or 10 years on our highways. Now, the first thing is, imagine that you want to drive from Gdańsk to Brussels, right? This means that you will cross at least 2 or 3 borders, and it might mean that you are crossing 2 or 3 different sets of rules, 2 or 3 different connectivity conditions, and this is what we think that we should kind of work together on that. So first thing is 5G. We want to roll out 5G in Europe so that when your car goes and the sensors are sending data, gigabits of data every minute, that 5G covers the highways and that the car doesn't have problems to send the data and to get back data from the servers. Now, the second thing, and this has been launched in March, that 29 European countries agreed that they will launch test corridors for self-driving and automated and connected mobility. And just last week, 10 countries already announced the first corridors. So if at some point you will be driving from Köln to Cologne in Germany, Metz, France, and Luxembourg, you might very soon find in that part some connected self-driving testing, because that's one of the corridors. Others will be in Spain, Portugal, in the Scandinavian. And so this is very important. And this is, again, about the collaboration between countries, because we need to test especially the cross-border effect, the cross-border conditions. What happens if a connected car crosses the borders? Now, the driverless technology is also very important. And what we do is that we give money to startups, to SMEs, to innovators to come up with new technologies that these cars can then use. And it's not only about the technologies, but it can be also software that runs the cars, or it can be the data analytics, whatever. And we give money to these people, to these startups, so that they can develop it and that we are ready. And then we have 2 important things that we've announced just 2 weeks ago. First is about data flows. Because imagine that you drive this car from Poland to Germany, and then there are some rules on how data should be treated. And now I'm not talking about personal data, but I'm talking about other than personal data or non-personal data, basically the data created by the sensors. And the car needs to have one technology. It cannot follow different rules in different countries on that. So what we proposed is to enable free flow of non-personal data in the EU, which means that no matter the car is in Germany, Poland, or Belgium, it still can be sending the data to one server, and it can be still the one company who deals with that data. And the last thing, but maybe the most important thing for the connected driving, is cybersecurity. And we need to make sure that the car cannot be hacked and that you don't, don't hit other cars. So we proposed also some measures in order to strengthen cooperation between countries, and in order to have some certified products that are reliable and then you can trust them. So I think these 5 things basically show exactly different areas. And obviously, when we talk about 5G, we talk about connectivity, and it's not that only the cars will benefit from it. And as I said in the beginning, we want everyone to have a good access to the internet, and that's why we set up quite good objectives for the future, what we want to achieve by 2025. So in schools and transport hubs, so in places where you really need the bandwidth, you really need the speed and the reliability of the internet, we want to have a gigabit speed and gigabit connectivity. The second objective is to have 5G networks in cities and transport routes, exactly for the self-driving cars, but also for you guys, because one day when you will be trying to do a live stream virtual reality video or whatever, well, you will need a lot of, you will need a big data highway basically to send it to the internet, and the others will need the same data highway to watch your movie or your film or whatever. And so we want to ensure that. And then the third thing is, I think, essential. that we want to make sure that in 2025, every household in the EU has access to an affordable 100 megabit per second download speed and internet, so that everyone can be, part of the digital economy society. We're not forcing these people, and if they don't want, well, it's your choice, but every household should have the possibility. Now, after that, we also said that we need to focus and we need to be more ambitious in some areas, and we are focusing on cities where obviously the use of internet is much more important in terms of volume. And so what we want to do is that by 2020, at least one city in each EU country should be equipped with 5G technology, so that you can really, watch Netflix film in HD quality easily without any struggles. And then what we also are launching, and I'm happy that I can announce that the European Parliament confirmed that 10 days ago, is the Wi-Fi for EU initiative. And we want to make sure that communities around the EU, villages, cities, can apply for vouchers to install Wi-Fi technology and to offer free Wi-Fi to anyone who is in public places. So imagine that you go to a park, or you go to a public square, or you go to a museum, city hall, and you will be able to use free Wi-Fi if the city or the village is providing it. Again, it's improving the connectivity, because as I said, if you are not connected, if you are not able to connect, then this all can be really beautiful, but you are not able to benefit from it, and this is what we don't want. Now, let's come to something which might be of your interest slightly more, and it's how people consume content and how people actually access online content. Because we thought that once we have the end of roaming charges, when the roaming charges ended, we said, well, this is cool, this is nice, but there are some other problems, because people who have paid subscriptions, for example, to games or films or music, when they travel abroad, they might get refused the access to their paid subscription. And we thought, well, this is not the right thing. If you... Sorry? Exactly, yeah. And so what we are ensuring by this proposal, which will enter into force in April 2018, is that the content you pay for in your home country, you can access anywhere where you travel in the EU. So it's again something like feel like at home, no matter where you go in the EU, no borders in that particular area, and basically, enjoy what you paid for because it's your right. We also looked at what people do online and what people watch and see and how they use the internet. And obviously, and I think this is a topic that you might encounter very often, it's the problem of, on one hand, fake news, and on the other hand, illegal content online, okay? Because we see that people, and you are the great examples, create such tremendous content. You create videos, blogs, pictures, everything. This is great. But there are also people who use the internet to spread hate speech, to spread xenophobia, racism, to spread child pornography, to make propaganda for terrorists. And we think, well, this is not right, because if you cannot, make racist or comments based on someone's religion in the offline world, if it's prohibited, then we should not be tolerating it in the online world either. So I cannot tell you much more, because the proposal will be presented on Thursday. But I invite you to check the Twitter and Facebook on Thursday, because on Thursday we'll present a set of guidelines or set of tools how to address this, how to address illegal content online, and how to make sure that these things, this content, these comments or these videos can be taken down much easier and much faster than now. And then there is the other part, which is the part of the fake news. And now we are in a very thin border, because, who can say what is a fake news and what is freedom of expression? I mean, freedom of expression is the cornerstone of the internet. You cannot touch that. But on the other hand, you need to find ways how to address the spread of fake news. Now, before I tell you, and this is a quite interesting survey, but before I move further, I would like again to switch to the second computer, to the second screen, if we can, and I would like to ask you again. Well, I see that someone else is already voting. Well done. But now I would like to ask you to again use your phone and try to assess your views. And I think this is very interesting, is also for us to see what you think about online fake news. So this is not about voting for one option. I would like you to decide on the scale from 1 to 10 what you think and how much do you agree or not. And the first statement is that fake news, it's a major problem for the society in general. Online fake news. Then the second statement is the spread of fake news makes blogging more difficult. So that the streams, the feeds, the algorithms, it's crowded and it's much more difficult for your content to go through it, if you agree or disagree. And the third thing is that media literacy is the best tool, and I would like to underline the best. Do you think that media literacy, teaching people how to approach social networks and how to approach social media and how to approach internet, how to approach content that is being published on the internet, is this the best tool to fight fake news? And thank you very much for voting. And I see that already now, the laser works, excellent. So this is interesting. So basically we all agree that it's a major problem, not only for the online world, but also for the society as a whole. What is interesting as well is to see that not for many people the fake news is an issue when it comes to blogging. Okay, well, thank you very much for that feedback. And then quite a lot of people also think that media literacy is the right way to go. And basically, I must say we kind of agree with you on the last point. We agree and we think that education and empowering people and explaining them that social bubbles exist, and then, you know, if you see all the time the content only from several online users, that it might be that you might be under the threat of consuming the fake news. So we are looking into this. I'm not saying that we are proposing anything soon, but if you stay in touch, we'll propose or we'll address this in some period of time. But thank you very much for that. And then I will tweet these results from the Digital Single Market Twitter account, DSMEU, after we finish, so that you can see what was the result of the vote, right? Now, can we go back to the original presentation? Thank you very much. Now, let me go quickly through two other things which are maybe not too much related to blogging, but they are also important parts of what we do in terms of digital single market. The first thing is to ensure cybersecurity and e-privacy, because these are things that, you know, when you phone someone, there are strong rules that the telecom companies or whoever wants cannot, you know, listen what you're saying. But until recently, this was not the case for example, when you message with someone on Facebook or when you phone someone from Facebook. So what we proposed in the beginning of this year, well, this is you see some statistics. In the beginning of this year, we proposed e-privacy rules for the EU, so that we ensure the e-privacy. At the same time, we also adapted the rules for cookies and the consent that you give, so that you don't have to click all the time, yes, I agree with cookies, yes, I agree with cookies, it's annoying. So we kind of adapted that. What we also did, just 10 days ago, we proposed new rules on cybersecurity. I already mentioned them. And they are especially important, maybe not yet today, but especially they will be important in the few years, when you see that households and online devices the number will grow, and by 2020 there might be 6 billion household devices connected to the internet only in the EU. And you need to make sure that no one can hack these. And also, based on our studies, 85% of internet users in the EU agreed that there is a risk of becoming a victim of a cybercrime. And also companies, 80% of companies encountered cyber attack or cyber issues in the previous years. So what we did, we proposed the e-privacy rules, we proposed the cybersecurity rules. Data protection, a very important thing. New rules will enter into force in April 2018, and it's mainly rules for companies when they treat your personal data, that it will be now clear what they need to do, how you need to, that you need to give consent to that, and how they need to report, especially when there is a problem, when there is some cyber attack, then it clears it out. And we also proposing some things on electronic ID, so you can use your electronic identity card or identity when you travel. And I think this all is about building trust in a digital single market. And now the last concrete point of the digital single market strategy that I want to mention today, because there are many of them, but the last thing is about digital skills, and I think this is also very important, because how many of you just think, how many of you had some digital skills class at school? I mean, I had some computer class, but no one taught us, coding. No one taught us about algorithms. These things, we need to focus on them, because if you want to live, and if we want people to live in the digital world and to participate in the digital economy and society, then we need to equip them also with good skills. What we are also doing, that we encourage industries to pledge that they will train these numbers of people, that they will train, they will provide training. What we will launch next year is Digital Opportunities Scheme, where students can go, as you know, Erasmus, that you can go to a foreign university to gain some experience. Students will be able to go to companies to gain digital skills in big data, IoT, artificial intelligence, so that they know a little bit what this is about. And last but not least, on the 7th of October, we have a grassroots European initiative that we support and that we really like. It's called Code Week. There will be many events in Poland as well. And it's about bringing coding to people and to families and to children and teaching it in a funny way and in an engaging way. So if you want, check codeweek.eu and sign up for an event, because it's really cool and it will give you also an idea of what coding is about. Now, I think what we need is to take a look at the last poll that I prepared. And if we can again go to the presentation, please, to the second. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Now, my last question to you, and it's again to collect your feedback. Which technology do you think represents the biggest opportunity for you in the next 5 years? And we have a list of technologies. You can choose also the other, but I would be interested to see what are your plans, what you think. Will it be artificial intelligence that will be helping you to find how to better write blog posts, when to post? Will it be virtual reality that you will do some amazing live streams for virtual reality users? Is there something, as you would see, as social media 2.0? Now it works strange. Okay, I hope the numbers are correct. Social media 2.0, do you think there will be social media revamp, let's say? Do you think that big data and data analysis will be the trend? Or do you think it will be faster mobile internet or something else? Now, I see it correctly on my screen here, but there it's very strange. Let me refresh that. Okay, it's still strange. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm seeing, and then, yeah, but the numbers are correct. The numbers are correct. So if you don't look at the columns, look at the numbers, they are correct. So 20% for artificial intelligence, 8% for virtual reality, 20% for social media 2.0. I would be very interested to hear what you think will happen with social media. 23% Internet of Things, 31% fast mobile internet, and no one thinks that something else. So, well, thank you very much for the feedback. Now, my last point to you, and if we can go back to the presentation, and again, I will tweet that in 5 minutes, but if we can go back to the original presentation. My last point of view, please stay in touch. As I said, we are building the digital single market for 2 reasons. To remove borders from the online sphere, from the digital sphere, and for the second reason, to get everybody involved and that to get everybody the opportunity to be part of the digital economy and society. Now, our commissioners and our Vice President Ansip of the European Commission, they are very keen to meet influencers, bloggers, people who live in the online world. So if you are interested in that, I'm very happy to give you my business card, or we can get in touch and we can set up something. Commissioners travel a lot. I think Commissioner Gabriel, who is the Commissioner for Digital Economy and Society, will be in Poland in October. We would like you, if you are interested and if you are interested in technology, to meet them, to ask them questions, and we can think about something also with colleagues from the EC rep. And now, my last thing is that I would like to invite you to a workshop which will start at 4 o'clock that Mikołaj from the EC rep in Warsaw is having, and he will explain a little bit more how to get information about the EU online. Now, please stay in touch. These are our social media accounts, and the very last thing is, please challenge us. The legislative process in the EU is quite transparent and open, and everybody can have a say. And we very often lack the feedback from the public and from people who are interested in topics. So please challenge us, get in touch, because like this we can together build the digital single market as we want and as it will work for us our best. Thank you very much.
Dziękujemy bardzo. Dziękuję wam moc.
Thank you.